Dennis Schroder, who yesterday agreed with the Celtics on a one-year, $5.9 million contract. Dennis Schroder turned down the maximum extension the Lakers were eligible to offer him during the regular season, which would have been worth north of $80 million in order to pursue a more lucrative deal come the summer. So he turned down $80 million, and he signed for $6 million. And my question is, what must that feel like? I don't know what the answer is, but here's what I'll say. Well, let me start with this. Does that mean, Nuno, that he did the wrong thing? Did Dennis Schroder do the wrong thing in turning down that extension when he did?
The quick reaction would say yes. However, let's see how this year plays out and what happens at the end, next summer, and if he can translate it into a $100 million deal.
Okay, but for the moment, you would say the answer is he made the wrong decision.
Correct.
Hembo, did he make the wrong decision?
Yes. I mean, based on what we know now, he left at least $75 million on the table. How does that go? When you're back home and you're trying to explain that to whomever, that has to really, really sting right now. That's a massive amount of money. And even though it's his fault, I guess in some sense that it didn't work out in LA, when you have a generational amount of money on a piece of paper, you should sign it.
A lot of people now want to be in this industry. A lot of people want to do what I do for a living. It's become a very popular thing to want to be. Pretty much everyone I meet has a niece, a nephew, all that kind of thing that wants to be a sports announcer. In the early 1980s, wanting to be a sports announcer was a pretty unusual and, in many people's view, ridiculous thing to want to be. I told my grandma Lily once, I want to be a sports announcer, and she said to me, Michael, why can't you be something good? Everyone in my family assumed I would be a lawyer. My dad was a lawyer. He was the hero of our family. My grandparents were immigrants, and my father was smart, and he got to go to law school, one of the best law schools in the world for free, went to NYU Law School on a full scholarship because he did so well, and he completely changed the trajectory of the lives of this one American family. Wonderful. And everyone assumed I would do that too. But I didn't want to. And when people ask me, how would you have felt if it had not gone the way you wanted it to? My life has obviously turned out, from a professional standpoint, among other ways, extraordinarily well. But what I would say is this. If I had just become a lawyer, which is, if that's what you want to do, it's wonderful for you. I'm not knocking it, but it's not what I wanted to be. If when I graduated from college, I'd gone to law school and become a lawyer, I think I would have hated watching sports for the rest of my life. Watching sports, which is a huge part of my life, from which I get probably more excitement, fun, and other than anything else, I would have hated it. Because I would have spent my whole life wondering, could that have been me? Could I have been up there announcing this game or being a part of this? And with the expansion of ESPN, which took place sort of early in my career, if that had happened anyway, and I'm watching all these people, Steve Levy, who might as well be me. Steve and I grew up at the same time, same place, look alike. People think I'm him all the time. I would have said, well, why didn't I do that? I would have regretted that forever. So what does that have to do with this? When you bet on yourself, at least you can say, I took my shot. And Dennis Schroder's story has not yet been fully told. And, of course, no one in their right mind is going to tell you you would rather have $6 million than $80 million. But what I would say is, in the absence of knowing how things are going to wind up, it is always my advice to bet on yourself. Because I think if it works out badly, at least you can live with it. At least you can live with it. I think that would be easier to live with than the alternative. He had taken the $80 million, and all of a sudden his play dictated that he'd obviously be worth $200 million. I think that would be worse, having not bet on yourself, having taken the easier way out. That would be worse than this, I think.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.